Hey, Greg, welcome to the show. As a way of getting started, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Greg Howenstein. I'm the sales manager here at DocuPhase. Been working here about 6 years, helping a little bit over 400 different organizations find every way to use technology to go paperless and automate everything.
Yeah, it must be a pretty interesting sale.
It is. It's interesting. It's different almost every single time we go into it. It's almost more about learning a paradigm of how to deconstruct a situation rather than a specific product.
And who do you call on when you're trying to get into a new account?
It's normally going to be financial leaders, your controllers, your CFOs. Sometimes your IT is brought into it where you're dealing with the CIOs or IT administrators. But more than anything, we're dealing more with the functional leaders of the organization rather than technology leaders, even though we
Right.
are a technology product.
And what's your approach? How do you get that first meeting?
More than anything, we love using third-party stories, doing initial touches through both outbound campaigns as well as inbound campaigns. We've structured our entire process kind of using the predictable revenue model in demand generation and then the challenger sale process and actually the pipeline.
Yeah. And when you say challenge, what type of insight do you bring?
More than anything, what we're trying to do is say, we've done this hundreds of times.
Yeah.
How can we bring everything that now we know as best practices to your organization using a customized platform rather than saying, let's start from scratch every
Right.
time. So we've got lessons learned, we've got processes that we've implemented, we've got examples that we've implemented that really let us, you know, deliver customized things at almost a predetermined timeline.
Yeah. And what's the hardest part about the sale? I mean, because it's a services sale and technology, or
Yes, exactly.
okay,
It's
that's
really the hardest part a lot of times is moving people off status quo. You know, it's
right.
it's that where we're at today is the best way
It
feeling that
works. Yeah.
exactly,
Somehow,
because
some way.
it's
Yeah.
we're more dealing with change management even than technology, because we're talking about changing core business processes and the
Right.
way an organization operates, which is part of its DNA and thereby part of its culture. And you're
Yeah.
saying you want to change that, and it's, well, yeah, there could be a better way.
And so I bet, trying to keep the ball moving is pretty
Mhm.
difficult. You might have a great meeting. I think everybody wants the outcome,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
but it's like, traveling. Everybody wants to go to the island, but nobody wants to sit at the airport and in a crummy little chair on a plane and then get delayed. And
Yeah, then deal with the customer service rep who's trying to tell you all the reasons it's not their problem and that they're really
yeah,
trying to help. And that's normally when we're dealing with contracting, that it's, yeah, we definitely want to do it, but we've got all these legal checks we have to go
right.
through, and we've got to review your contracts, and keeping that moving and not using, I guess, thinly veiled artificial means
Right.
is a big
Discounts
challenge.
or right.
Exactly. It's it's those things in the for the modern buyer are, they don't exist. It's just not reality of what they're dealing with, and they almost, well, they discount you as a real partner
Right.
if you try and use those tactics. So it's, for us, more than anything, it's trying to keep a communication cadence up, and really
Yeah.
looking at how how quickly and how predictably are they responding back
Yeah.
as an indicator of, are
Acid
things
test
actually
of their
moving.
interest.
Yeah.
Yeah. And give us a sense of the deal sizes. Is it probably minimum six figures?
Yeah, it's, we're not talking about things that normally are things that, you know are just gut decisions you can throw on a credit card in an organization and be
Right.
able to do. It's large transformation projects.
And what's the length of time from like initial conversation to contract?
We've been looking at, rather than initial conversation, because it's a transformation project, to real engagement of when are they taking that first agreed meeting with a set agenda
Yeah.
to review the project, to when it's closing. Because beyond that, our BDR team's going to be reaching out to them. Our email marketing is going to be reaching out. They're going to be consuming content. They're going to be engaging, but they've got to do so much internal work to actually convince the team, hey,
Right.
we should change the way we operate. But once we get that engagement, we're seeing consistent, probably 60 to 90, sometimes up to 120 days of, if it's going to close, it's going to be in that time. If
Yeah.
not, you might as well just say, okay, we'll talk about it next year, because there's something we didn't account for, we didn't know, that's just going to hold it up.
Yeah. And why did you get into sales?
It's a funny story. I actually never knew anything about technology. I never knew anything about really corporate sales or enterprise sales or software sales. I was running a private label credit card program for a little RV manufacturer that had an outsourced finance office. And so I was doing this, and
Very
my wife,
glamorous.
yes, exactly, very glamorous, calling cargo trailer dealers all over the country and asking them if
Oh,
they want to offer a credit card so people can buy used cargo
oh,
trailers.
wow.
It was
Your
the,
friends must have been envious.
they definitely were, and the pay was definitely amazing. So I was doing that, and my wife's organization actually bought our company's software. And she was like, you just got to go talk to them. It's like you're walking into Google when you
Yeah.
walk into their building. And it's a technology company. It is a different organization to work for than any other kind of organization. And so I came here and just applied for a job and got in, and 6 years later I'm running the team.
Wow. So,
Yeah.
so you must have went through a lot of changes, just going from,
Yes,
calling
definitely.
on entrepreneurs in a trailer park, trying to sell credit card services, to
Yeah,
digital transformation.
you've picked up that it's a little bit different.
Yeah, I've been around the block.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, really, one of the biggest things I kind of was fortunate enough to walk into the organization with is that there became a strong culture of training and a
yeah,
strong culture of process, and not trying to build the relationship, but of how to drive to close and how to
yeah.
drive opportunities either in or out, not staying still. And one of the best resources we ever did that really helped with that was going through actually oh gosh, who was it that did it? Oh, it's sitting right here. Who was it that did this? It was Franklin Covey. Franklin Covey's Helping Clients Succeed training, which was, of course, adapted from Randy Illig and Mahan Kulsa's book, Let's Get Real or Let's Not Play.
Yeah.
And we took a little bit of a different approach that we all studied, and made a little bit of a mastermind group around that source material before actually going through the more structured course. So that just set an amazing foundation for our entire team. That still every month we see hints and traces of that training we did 4 years ago, 5 years
Wow.
ago, that makes a marked difference in the people that went through it and applied it and the ones that just sat there.
And kind of what I got out of that was focus on the deals that can close,
Yeah.
as opposed to every deal.
Yeah, having deals in a pipeline is not the same as having a pipeline that's going to close.
Right.
And injecting hope into your pipeline is not actually
Or
going to.
fiction. Yeah.
Yeah, even better example for us though. That does not get us to being the good team members that we are in the organization.
Yeah.
Sales as a job is not about just getting the deal. It's about funding the revenue machine of the
Right.
organization and getting the dollars to the top line so that the operations team can then finish them on the bottom line.
Yeah.
Nothing happens without it. And that's why it's so important to give the rest of the organization an accurate picture of, well, here's what's going to come in.
And what did you see differentiating yourself from people in the industry that weren't doing as well? What kind of characteristics, skills,
I think
mindset?
there's a a shift in the persona of somebody that is a salesperson, especially when it comes to the complex sale, comes to things that are not B2C, that it's people that are more genuine and focused more on the customer and not that relationship.
Yeah.
It's one of the things, if you read the Challenger sale, the profile of seller that has the actual worst results proven by data is the one that is that relationship salesperson. And I think that it's something that that's not been who I am. I'm not the one that's just trying to make a friend. Yes, I want to be able to have good dialogue with them. I want to be able to make a connection. I want them to be able to trust me. But it's more about how am I and my company leading that organization to a better future.
Right. I think you need to talk to them about what they care about versus what you do.
Yeah.
So, and to do that, that sounds easy, but everyone
Right.
ends up talking about what they do
Well,
as opposed to what the other person is facing or
I
going to face.
I completely agree. And, one of the greatest litmus tests for that, I challenge all of your listeners to is to really think about the last 10 introductory conversations they were on. How many of them did they immediately jump into a demo? How many of them did they immediately jump into a deck? How many of them did they immediately jump into talking points and not jump into my opening for every conversation? Hi, my name is Greg. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. DocuPhase has had a long history of helping clients succeed, but can you tell me a little bit more about what made you want to talk about this and
Yeah.
what you're hoping
Right.
to achieve? And
Yeah.
shut up.
That flip onto what they care about.
Yep.
It used to be that, that's all nice, but the only thing that really matters is how can it help you?
Right. How can I fill out my profile here to fill out all the questions as quickly as
For my
possible to be
boss.
able
Yeah.
to prove that you're worthy of buying from me?
Yeah.
It's the whole model is flipped, and there's a whole new generation of sellers now that are not the ones that have 20, 30, 40 years of, well, it's always been a seller's market. It is not anymore.
I don't think it ever was, but to tell you the truth. Maybe in the late
That's
90s for an
possible.
hour and a
Yeah.
half.
Yeah, that's a good point.
you know. And what do you look for in reps now that you've moved into a leadership role?
More than anything, it's the ability to learn and
Yeah.
that humility. It's really because the biggest thing for us is that it's not about me, it's not about you, it's not about any individual person. It's all about the customer. And
Yeah.
so you have to have people that are willing to completely shift the focus of every conversation onto your problem, onto that. And that's a character trait with highly type A people that becomes hard to find, because you
It's
want the
very hard
people
to
that are
find.
you want the team members that are going to be extremely disciplined, that they're going to follow the process, that they're going to be able to do it repetitively and repeatably, that they're going to be able to face confrontation, going to be able to face negotiation strongly. And those are all type A qualities,
Yeah.
and not focus on themselves. That's where it's that kind of magic combination that's where you get the people that show up every single day doing everything they're supposed to, predictably hitting their numbers,
Yeah.
and being able to focus on the client and give a good experience to them.
And have you found clues during the interview process for those characteristics?
Honestly, what we found is that a lot of these people are ones you need to build.
Okay.
They're not ones that are traditionally available in the
Yeah.
market and just looking for something, because these are the people already crushing it. These are the ones that they know what they need to do, they know their value, and they know how to find an organization that will give them what they demand to
Yeah.
do that. And so it's, for us, it's been more shifting the mentality to how do you actually build a pipeline in our process of our people to be able to bring people in as your frontline BDRs and as your inside salespeople, and then moving them into more account management, and then from there moving them into more project scoping for account management, increasing the complexity of what they do as you increase the complexity and demand that you need out of that person.
But the problem with building is sometimes it
Takes a
doesn't.
while.
It takes a while, and sometimes it doesn't work.
Yeah, that's true.
You
That's
just
very true.
but there's typically, what I hear when I talk to people, they look for people who have been in coaching roles, not as coaches, but as coached sports, performing arts, musical instruments, things that require repetition, an
Yep.
instructor, feedback, not being sensitive to hearing anything.
Right. That's very true. And that's a good one that I'm going to take away from today that we hadn't been looking for.
Right. And, even the military, where they had to, really, they were broken down during boot camp and then built up, be able to take feedback, work within a team, understand there is structure, but then yet sales is still a performance, and a big part of it's art.
Yeah.
Not just what you say, but how you say it.
100%.
And, being able to have that outward mindset that you described, thinking the way the other person does, being curious, interested in what their world is about. And, I'm not
one
sure.
that I'll tell you that we've found is and we're not sure why yet, but one we found that's very interesting is for people that are in a solution engineer role, your technical support person.
Yeah.
We found and we haven't found the reason yet, but for a strange reason, people that are from highly mathematical backgrounds, people that are like physics majors and things like that, they are succeeding in this, and they're enjoying it, and they're enjoying being a part of it. But it's from such a realm that we never would have considered, besides just happening upon it, that I don't know the correlation yet, but I know that it's strange and it works.
Yeah, we used to call it the engineers who could talk.
Exactly.
They were the ones that, had some social interests or social skills. Because that was my background. I was an engineer, then I was the guy that got brought in to give the demo, and then I found out how much the salespeople were making, and it's like,
well, I'm actually doing most of the work. So
well, it wasn't an easy transition, but it was well worth it. But that kind of progression. How about as far as your career? What kind of epiphanies did you have as you were coming up, where you just like all of a sudden it went from, okay, I'm good. Oh, that's what I need to work on.
I'd say one of the biggest ones I had was changing basically eliminating from my mind the internal beliefs around what a salesperson was.
Yeah.
That, for so long I had this, well, there's this me that exists, that is these things, that is in Glengarry, Glen Ross, and every other social impact of what sales is that I haven't gotten to yet. I am not that. And so I'm not going to see the results that I want. And eliminating that and just realizing that it's about, it's about nurture, not nature in sales, that it's about what you put into it and what you build yourself up and what tools you create for yourselves, and that everything is, my wife is reading a book that I love the term, but that everything is figure outable. That you want to know how to sell bigger deals? Okay, well, it's on YouTube. It's in a book. You just go read it. You just go consume the content, and you are going to get better. It's not, there is no secret sauce. I wish that was the next main sales book that came out that everyone read, that there isn't something secret. Well, it's just do it.
I think people think it's knowledge, and knowledge is because then if you look at, if it was knowledge, then we would all be great chefs because we could buy the cookbook. It's all there. Or we all tell the same jokes. You can listen to Chris Rock as well as I can, but neither of us can perform the jokes. We look like idiots.
Guess what? If it was a secret, somebody would be out there actually selling it, and then somebody else would be selling it, then somebody else would be selling it, and we'd all have it.
Yeah, I think the secret is that you have to perform it, and you have to take feedback, and you have to get better. And people don't like that because it doesn't feel good.
That's true. The key word you said there is perform. That,
Perform.
it is a performance. We talk about it all the time here. There is theater to all of this. There is perception management. There is, how do you actually get the point across in a way that drives an incentive that's
Right.
not driving a discount of your organization or driving a discount of your relationship.
Right.
It's really, it's all performance, because you are
Right.
literally talking about, believe the words coming out of my mouth that you're going to pay all of this money and you're going to have a better future. And it's impossible to do that without putting yourself and your reputation and who you are into that.
And that is hard to accept because,
Yeah.
people read the same words, they copy the best rep, and they think, oh, it's got to be the client. It's like when your kids say, oh, the coach doesn't like me. It's like, I went through high school that the teacher doesn't like me. Then I got into college and I go, maybe it's me.
Exactly.
And trust me, it's always you, right? It's always you.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, and selling's very much like that. And I'm sure you get into the beauty contest type of sale because everyone can say what you guys say, right?
Yep.
In the space.
And everybody can say they do it cheaper, that they do it faster, that they do it better, or that we don't do it well. It's constantly there. And for us, the what we've found really helps is a lot of old school things of saying, yeah, we're a technology company, but as soon as you're serious about this, we're going to come show up and sit in the conference room with you, and we're going to actually talk about all of it, and not using the tools like we're using right here today. Amazing tools, video conferencing. You get a lot better results when you get in front of people.
You sure do.
And if you can use them to weed out, back to our original concept, the people that aren't going to buy, then you can spend your dollars and spend your revenue budgets really getting really good engagement with the ones that have a high likelihood of buying, and just increase your close rates.
And that's it. And I think people look at the cost of going out and being in person, but the neuroscience is that we have the spatial trust around us. And when you're even on video conferencing, you're not within that circle of trust.
Yeah, you're still more than 3 feet away from me on my big monitor here, and even then you're only 2 inches tall.
And that's why we go to music concerts. The sound isn't better, right? The sound's worse.
Exactly.
Your AirPods are probably 100 times better quality sound. We go there to be closer to the band, closer to our friends, closer to people like us. And I think too many people, certainly in technology, are trying to we're just all personas, and we say these words and they respond in this way, and then we handle it. So,
and so many of them are trying to drive to the thing as the rubric, or trying to use the Mad Libs approach to sales. That it is still a human connection and a human decision. I don't care how far you can take your chatbot, you're never going to be able to have somebody convince their team and their buying group to change their organization or to change a core thing based off of that interaction.
That's it. And if they're ready and they want to buy, that's placing an order. But to solve a problem, have people understand the implications and the process to solve that problem, that's a human thing.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you were going to get an operation, sure, you might read the stuff on the web, but you want to talk to a doctor. You want to talk to somebody who's done it 100 times, who's seen the repercussions of it, the risks, and to explain to you how it works and what's going to happen each day, and that process. And I think people, especially today, everyone looks at their phone, but they're further apart from each other. Now, what's your life been like as a manager now? Is it a little different?
Oh, 100% a little different. It's really fun trying to understand and work on enabling the team.
Yeah.
And you know, if anybody that listens to this is a manager and they don't have, at the bare minimum, somewhere just a flow chart of every single step a rep has to go through once they're given a deal to work, once they find a deal to work, to getting it to close, you're without one of the most basic tools to instantaneously increase your results.
Yeah.
Because just redocumenting it and looking through it, you know, I've been able to find 5 or 6 areas that I'm like, gosh, we could make that simpler. We could cut out a step or two. That then is more time the reps have to being able to actually work on opportunities, to make another phone call, to say, you know, I can squeeze in another on-site because I'm not having all this other administrative work to do or these other things to get through.
Things, yeah, distractions.
The all the things. It's no one thing that ever keeps a deal from closing. It is all the things that keeps them from hitting the timelines you need them to.
Right.
So that's been really fun. It's also a lot of fun to keep running deals. I would challenge everyone that's in a leadership position to never stop taking on their own deals, because it keeps you close to what's actually happening, and you keep having the conversations you can manage from a shared vocabulary and a shared experience rather than a oversight perspective.
A third. Cool.
Yeah.
Hey, this has been a great conversation. Where can people go to follow you?
You know, I'm actually on nowhere really. I'm on LinkedIn itself. It's actually linkedin.com/salesisscience. I got one of those great vanity URLs for it. They can go there or just come to docuphase.com and fill out a form and buy some great software.
Cool.